The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello, and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist, Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the rocky outcropping that is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he. I could have went with like Space Demon Ape. I could have went with Robot Man. But no, I decided to go through the real star, the rocky outcropping that everyone walks across in this movie.
Yeah, this is such a perfect example of that 60s space age movie that super low budget with a couple cardboard spaceships and one set that they are able to keep using over and over again.
I feel like if you hold in your mind the image of a cheesy sci-fi movie from the 60s, you would imagine this to the T. There would be nothing that would deviate from it. Like we have the obligatory dance party scene that's in every 60s B movie. We've got aliens looking for babes. We got sequins on all of our outfits to let you know we're in space.
Yeah.
And we have that really cool domed spaceship from the playground, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, last week when we were, teasing this, you're like, oh, I wonder if there'll be a dance sequence, and then, sure enough, I was like, yep, good.
It's like I felt it in my soul, you know?
Right.
It's like, I can see where there's a dance happening. But, also, I mean, this is Frankenstein meets a space monster, if we haven't said that already. We get Dr. Adam Steele is played by James Karen. Do you know where we haven't seen them, but individually we've seen movies with him in it.
No, I didn't recognize him.
What if I say Tarman?
No way.
Return of the Living Dead. Yep, he's Frank from Return of the Living Dead.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I would not have
immediately. I was like, that's Frank. He looks no different, actually. Not a bit. In 20 years, that man did not age.
That's amazing. Yeah, I did not clock that at all, but that's pretty fantastic that he's just did genre stuff that whole time. That's really great.
Apparently, I don't know if he's still acting, but as of 2018, let me check real quick to make sure there's no in memoriam. Nope, he did die in October of 2018. I apologize.
28,
it was
okay.
Cardiac arrest. So yes, his last movie was Cynthia in 2018.
Wow, so he worked right up till the end, though.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow, good for him.
That's a long and storied career for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so let's get this party started.
Yeah.
So we get some really dramatic music and what looks like the fuzzy outline of Frankenstein, but then a gorilla Gillman thing.
Yeah. It's got really it's furry, but it's not, it's not furry like a gorilla. It's got long, draping fur hanging down. And yeah, some super intense sci-fi music. And then that's our credit sequence, I guess. And then we go to a couple quick shots of a satellite dish, a bunch of stuff in space. This is a super low budget.
It's a weird artsy shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
This movie does have moments of that, right? There's a couple artsy elements, but then it's the producers are you're doing too much, man. We're overthinking this way too hard. Tone it down.
Yeah, we're trying to just make a space movie for a couple $1,000.
Right.
Don't get fancy.
We don't need your internal conflict about this robot guy.
Yeah. we see that it's like a ball moving through space, but it has like it's almost like a Saturn ring or something moving around it. But we'll find that it is a spaceship. It's just super blurry and kind of hard to tell. But we cut inside the spacecraft, where we see like 3 kind of regular looking guys in astronaut spacesuits.
And then a bald space elf. I fucking love it. It's so good, Dr. Nadir.
Yeah, he's got the pointy ears. He's just this weird little freak looking guy. And he's sitting next to just like a classic princess, like a princess in a fancy dress and a crown and everything, just on a spaceship.
Almost Egyptian to a degree with her headdress.
Yeah. Yeah. And so obviously these are aliens, and they've been tracking a signal that they picked up from Earth. They don't say Earth, but that's where they're headed, and they're gonna find out if the planet is suitable to breathe. They've got their spacesuits, but at first it seemed like they were gonna conquer Earth. Like they kept talking about is the atmosphere, what's it like, and everything. But as you said, eventually it turns out they're actually just here for the babes. They're gonna steal some women and take them back to their planet.
I mean, listen, that was the trope for most of the movies in the 60s, right? Steal Earth women. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. So while they're like watching on their array of equipment or whatever, they see that a missile has launched from the planet, and they're like, oh, it looks like they might be sensing us or something, and so they like destroy it. Their little spacecraft is definitely better, more technologically advanced than our stuff. So they take the missile
also,
out.
though, if it is a missile, I feel like they could just be like, hey, let's not give away our position just yet and see what happens, right?
Yeah, it probably would have just like hit and exploded and not hurt their stuff at all.
Right. But no, they're proactive aliens.
Yeah, and like Dr. Nadir, as you said, he's just this little, like, he's laughing evilly, like he's just playing up the villain really, really well. Cut back to Earth, where there's like several sort of like military and like NASA kind of people in a car headed towards the Space Center at Cape Kennedy.
Yeah. Well, actually, Cape Canaveral, that was renamed Cape Kennedy for about a decade.
Yeah.
So, you know why. We don't need to talk about that.
Right. And they, there's a lot of B-roll footage here of them like driving around. You're seeing a lot of, just the area.
A good solid 50% is archival footage.
Yeah, they're really padding the run time, and the movie's an hour 15. Right. But it's free production value. You film actual stuff at Cape Canaveral. It looks good. It looks, it is real, so you don't have to like spend the money to make fake rockets and stuff.
Are we sure Mr. Corman isn't listed in the credits here somewhere?
It does have a very distinct Roger Corman vibe for sure. Yeah. They're headed to a press conference that's being put on that, like, apparently NASA is getting ready to send a manned mission to Mars. Yeah. And it's going to be launching tomorrow.
60 or almost 60 years before The Martian.
Right, yeah.
Or 50 years.
The press gets introduced to Colonel Saunders, who is
Frank Saunders.
Yep, Frank Saunders. Of course, I would like Colonel. I kept thinking Colonel Sanders,
right?
But
do you think that's what they were thinking too?
It could be.
Yeah, it feels a little bit too much. Yeah.
But the Frank name, obviously, with the title of this movie, you're going to be like, what's going on there?
I'm glad they had the restraint to not call him Frankenstein.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen so many of that, and it's surprising that they didn't just lean into it that hard here.
Right. If I ever create a character, their name's going to be Francis Nathan Stein. Frankenstein. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
So the press is talking to the guy, and they're like, they're asking him questions like, so are you excited? Like, are you worried that there might be life on Mars? You might, get attacked by something. And, he's like, no, I'm not superstitious. It's fine. He seems like, he's very by the book, just like, just the facts. But then they're
like, I haven't heard of you before. Where the hell did you come from?
Yeah, because he says something about like, statistically, I'm like the best choice. Like NASA picked me because I check all the boxes of what they need for this particular, mission.
Well, they
And
fed a
they're
bunch
like,
of pilots' names into some AI, and it randomly, or like, I can only imagine what 60s AI would have looked like, right? But
right.
apparently that chose him. That he was the best fit because of that.
Yeah, and yeah, they call it. They ask why they haven't heard of him, and he was like, "Well, I guess I'm just the shy type."
The shy type freezes up, and we just linger on that shot.
Mm-hmm. It's like it's like a still from the movie, but it'll just show him, and you hear this like ticking sound, and then it just cuts to like the journalists sitting there, and they're all kind of making faces like, "What?" So like,
what the fuck's up with this guy? Yeah.
Yeah. And then suddenly, like, a bunch of other guys rush in and they're like, "Oh, you know, Colonel Saunders must not be feeling well. We're going to take him back." And they just kind of, like, escort him out real quick. And then we see them laying him down on a slab and open up his head, which is full of all kinds of gears and stuff. So he's a robot.
Literally half a brain, and the rest is, like, computer components. It's really like a big diode.
Yeah. It looks pretty good. Like, they actually, this they sell it pretty well here. And so we have like a NASA scientist guy named Adam, and then we have like a military guy, General Bowers.
Yes.
And
they're
like
Grant.
Yes, yeah, and Karen Grant, who like I guess is just also a scientist. She also seems to like because she's the lady, she's the emotional one. She has she cares about the robot man. But they're all like they're allied, they're all working together on this project, but they're like Adam and Bowers like butt heads a little bit, Adam trusts that science is going to solve everything, and Bowers is like, I'm used to just dealing with soldiers, real people, I know what I'm getting with that, but this robot man, I'm a little nervous that he's going to just break down while, halfway to Mars, and what do we do then?
Right, we just got a ship flying at Mars right at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're kind of like discussing like what happened, can we fix him, like, is he going to be good? And as you said, like Adam points, like he's like a cyborg, really. Like he has real human parts inside, also an electronic sensory control system with a remote and synthetic skin.
Right. Before the Terminator, we had Frank Saunders, right?
Yeah.
Synthetic skin. Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. Like, it does. I kind of wish we knew where the other components came from. Like, who was the real owner of the brain?
Yeah, I mean, and
meat under the suit. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it feels like it's like RoboCop or something, But usually when we have that, there's a lot of like, let's talk about where this came from and this guy and what happened to him and his backstory and stuff. And we don't really get that at all with this.
Yeah, we got 116. We ain't got time for that.
Right. Yeah. So from there, like they get him kind of going again, and the next thing we see is it's launch time. We get like 60s rock and roll music, like with a montage of them kind of getting everything ready, and a lot of this again is free production value of them using archival footage from NASA.
I would be surprised if the radio chatter wasn't also used from NASA.
It could be. Yeah. We do get a couple shots in there of Frank, like in his spacesuit, like walking to the ship and everything, but there are also like long shots of guys in spacesuits getting close to, and I bet a lot of that's archival as well.
Right.
Like
it absolutely is like an Apollo mission or something like that.
Yeah. As the launch is getting ready to happen, we have our like NASA crew watching on a monitor, and we also see the spaceship out at, the aliens. They're also watching on their monitor, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. They see the rocket go up, and they're
firing on us again. How'd they know?
Yeah. And they can't tell if they're like if they've been sighted or this is a coincidence or whatever, but they're like, prepare for an attack. And I guess they kind of do like an EMP or something to it.
It seems that way, but they call it a force field, which, I mean, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Generic science-y terms, I guess.
Yeah. So on the ground, they get a call from Saunders who says all systems are down. He's like asking for permission to abort.
Right. Well, they're showing an image of a rocket exploding, but then they're also cutting to Frank Saunders in the pod where it's like smoking.
Yeah.
It's like, that's too late, my man. You're gone. It's over.
And the aliens are laughing at their victory or whatever. But then they see a capsule parachuting down, and the aliens are like, "Oh no, that was a manned spacecraft, not a missile. We've got to land now and find that guy because he might have seen us, and that could like jeopardize our whole mission."
By the way, they named the spaceship the Mayflower too. I feel like that's just kind of inviting bad luck, like, especially in America. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So we end up seeing the alien pod landing first, and it lands like on a farm, and a farmer like comes walking over like, "What the?"
I get tired of this trope of the old farmer with a shotgun approaching the aliens.
Yeah. Yep. He's ready to protect his land, and of course, one of the aliens in the spacesuit comes out and vaporizes him with some kind of laser pistol.
Right. The alien tanks the shotgun blast and just returns fire, evaporating the guy.
Yeah. And then right after that, we see Saunders has also landed, and the alien sees him and shoots him with the vaporizer gun as well. But I guess either because Saunders is he has a synthetic skin or whatever.
I feel like it also hit a little bit of the rock in front of him because he's almost like in a cave or almost like a foxhole.
Yeah. So he like turns to the camera and we see that half of his face is all melted. He looks like Two-Face basically. And he rushes the alien and manages to like punch it and like knock this guy out. So like super strong.
Yeah, he's apparently stronger than a shotgun blast. So.
Right, yeah. And he runs away then, and then we see two of the other alien spacemen pick up their injured crewmate and carry him back to the pod, where they like tell him about the run-in with the Earthman, and that they think he's so injured that he's not going to make it, but she's like, no, we have to go find him. We've got to make sure we know he's really dead. And they're like, all right, well, we're going to take our friend here to the infirmary or whatever. And she's like, nah, we're going to make a show of this guy. He fucked up.
Right. He fucked up by firing on this guy he didn't know and then got his ass beat. I guess. Right. Sure, why not?
Yeah. So we're going to feed him to Mull. And that we find out Mull he's the space monster of the title here.
Or also, as I like to call him, the demon space ape.
Yeah. And, like, he's, like, it's super low budget, but it's kind of cool. Like, it looks like something some people made in their backyard, but, like, the design is at least creative. Like, he's, as we said, he's kind of like an ape body with, like, long kind of fringy hair.
I feel like I've seen this guy at a Guar concert.
And his face is, like, kind of a skull, sort of. Like, it's kind of creepy. Like it's a pretty good weird space monster.
Oh yeah, I imagine if some old church lady from the 60s saw this, she would have lost her shit.
Right, yeah. So yeah, we get like they just take him to. We see Mull kind of like in he's like locked up in like a cell, and then we just cut back to Saunders, who is wandering around. Now sort of like he's injured and sort of like confused, and he sees two teens in a car like driving along, and they like stop. They see this guy, and he like attacks the car.
I'm just saying, if I see a guy with half his body burned, I'm not gonna. One, I probably would stop, but I would immediately say, "Are you okay?" Instead of, "Hey, let me hop out and grab this fucking pot torch." I don't know what the hell that round thing was, and shove it in your face.
Yeah, like
you're inviting trouble, man.
Yeah, and sure enough, he Saunders attacks the boy. And like strangles him, and then I think we cut right from that to the space pod again, where the princess gives like all of their sort of like backstory of why they're here at this point. That like there was a nuclear war, like decimated the population of their planet, and apparently all women died except for the princess.
Well, it's like she doesn't even count herself as one of the women, right?
Yeah, it does feel that way. Like she's just like all women are gone, and it's like, I mean, you're a woman. Yeah. But so the people on the ship are the last survivors, and they have to capture some Earth women to take back to their planet to repopulate.
Yeah. So that's the idea. Apparently, humans and whatever these aliens are, we're compatible in that way.
Which, again, like you said, it's weird because the guys that are in spacesuits, and it's kind of unclear how many of them are actually on the ship. It feels like we see usually only 2 or 3 at a time, but right. I think there's like maybe 10-ish or something.
Anywhere between 10 and 50, because we have like a couple squads pop out at the end.
Yeah, but they all just look like regular humans, and the princess mostly just looks like a regular human as well. But then you have...
Well, no, I mean, there is the big, bulky space elf, too. Like,
yeah.
He also has the bald head and the... Here's my question, actually. Is she bald underneath her headdress?
Could be, yeah.
All right, something for everybody to think about.
Yeah. So we go from that back to the people at NASA, and they're like, "So it looks like Saunders landed. But we can't track him, or it seems like our remote system is down. We can't control him anymore, or see what he's seeing or anything."
Right.
And
It'll
so
be
they're
a
kind of discussing
shot to find him.
Yeah, and so what does that mean? What's he going to be doing? And Adam is like, "Well, I mean, he's going to be confused. He's damaged. If
his communication data is gone."
Yeah, so if he runs into any violence of any kind, his protection protocols will kick in, and he will, respond violently as well.
I mean, I feel that's just standard operating procedure for all. That's just how it is across the board.
Yeah.
But it's like he's tempting fate, because there's this dude chopping coconuts. Spoiler alert, they're in Puerto Rico, I guess. But the dude just immediately stands up and swings at Saunders.
Yeah.
Like, why are you going to do that to a dude? Just be like, "Hey, man, are you okay? Are you doing all right?"
Yeah. Yep. But, Saunders instantly kills him. We also get from the NASA people, when, like, Adam's saying all this stuff, Karen looks directly at the camera and is like,
right.
"So what you're saying is he could turn into some kind of Frankenstein?"
Da, da, da. Yeah, I know. That was so good.
Yeah.
I was like, the cheese, the queso.
Yeah. But I guess the one good thing about him killing the guy in the woods in Puerto Rico is that it alerts the authorities, and so suddenly NASA gets a call, and they're like, his capsule was spotted along with reports of violence from a guy that looked like he was in a spacesuit. So it sounds like we need to head to San Juan.
Yeah. Basically, this is their excuse to go on a vacation, right?
Right, yeah.
This was the Adam Sanders School of Filmmaking before it was a thing.
Yes.
But then we cut to a random... I think she's just called Bikini Babe. Is that right?
I think
Bikini
so,
blonde.
yeah.
And just another guy sitting on the beach. And the aliens just walk up and they're like, "Fuck the guy," and blow him up.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Take the girl."
Yeah, of course. And then we have that we see the NASA people landing in San Juan. They get there very quickly. And then we have the princess on the ship inspecting the Bikini Babe, their first captive.
But she has her do a fashion show like thing, She's like, "All right, give me a twirl, baby."
Yeah. Like, wants to make sure that she's like prime breeding candidate, I guess. Yeah. And the girl is like, she seems very confused and kind of scared, but like she's not like crying or screaming or trying to resist at all. She gives her a twirl and just stands there and everything. So I don't know if the aliens have something that they have like sort of subdued her in some way, or if she's just like catatonic from like, there are aliens, I'm on a spaceship, what the fuck,
I think the hypnotism goes without saying, at this point, aliens have the mind control beams, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt to me, because, as they get more women, they're all just, like, pretty subdued.
Yeah, the only one who ever fights back is Karen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, by the way, sorry.
If you didn't know Karen was going to get kidnapped immediately...
Like, right, you're not paying any fucking attention.
Right. Yeah. So... Then we get the NASA folks again. They're on the beach where the guy was murdered and the bikini girl was kidnapped, and they're like, this couple went missing, but we found this weird radioactive glass that looks like it was like superheated sand. But what does this have to do with Frank? Like, he doesn't have the capability to create this radioactive glass. But they're like, well, something else is weird is going on. It's got to be connected. Like, there can't be two extremely weird things happening in this town at the exact same time.
Surely, right?
Yeah.
So Frank decides he's going to just wander around the same beach for like half an hour, and then he just he gets ready to attack a woman. Like, he climbs up on the side of a little, what would you call that? Not a fence or gate, but it's a wall. It's a stone wall.
Yeah.
Probably an old fort.
But then, like, at the last second, he gets, like, got scared or distracted or something.
Because another woman just comes out, and what even is the one girl's name? Like, it's inconsequential. She basically, one girl calls for another, and he's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going to get spotted.
Yeah. We get back with the NAS people, and again, with them sort of, like, arguing over what to do. So Bowers is like...
bad for him for being all by himself out there. And Adam just looks at her with disdain, and he's like, he's a robot.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam, so it's like Karen sees him as a person, Bowers sees him as like an asset, and Adam kind of is in the middle where Bowers is like, let's just destroy him. Like, it's a malfunctioning piece of equipment, neutralize it, done. And Karen's like, no, but he's sad. Yeah, and Adam is like, we can recover him, we can fix him, like, it's a waste to just destroy it. So Adam kind of sides with Karen, like, we can find him and go from there. So they hop on a Vespa and just ride around San Juan together.
To what the hell is that song called? Like, it's the theme song. Is it The Way It Goes, or is it supposed to be To Have and To Hold?
Yeah, I think it's To Have and yeah, it's like this kind of doo-wop song. It's like, it's very like it's a romantic song. While these these two scientists
I love that it's
are
by a
riding
band called The Distant Cousins. So that's great.
Yeah. And we see as they're driving around, Adam is still wandering around the countryside. Or not Adam, Frank.
Yeah.
And Adam is finally able to track him. Like, they're close enough that the signal is there. And they end up finding a cave that they go inside, and there's Frank.
Well, let's not let out Karen's ear-piercing scream when she finds the guy she's there looking for.
Right, yeah. I guess, I don't know if the melted face upset her, but, like, it's synthetic skin. It's fine. Like,
it didn't hurt.
Yeah. But Adam is like, he's a robot. It's fine. We can fix him. But I'll stay here with him. You go get help. Go get the general. Let him know we found him. Everything's okay. We can get him to safety and start working on repairs.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. According to Adam, Frank isn't a robot. He's a robot. That's what he calls it all the time. I love it.
The next thing we see is the aliens send out a bunch of guys in spacesuits to gather more women now that they've
just captured
tested
girls.
Yeah. They've got the one girl. They tested her. It looks like it's going to work. So now let's just bring them all in, get as many as we can.
How do you test that? I mean, there's only one way to test it ultimately, but sure.
Yeah. I don't know if they have like DNA sequencing abilities that are beyond us or whatever.
Hopefully that's
yeah.
But anyway, random dance party. Let's have it.
Of course. Yeah, so they're all dancing around a pool. It's just a bunch of young people. Some are in bikinis.
The guys are in shorts. Well, some are in shorts.
Yeah, and then we see the aliens get to the party. And
one
of course
poor bastard gets out of the pool and gets blasted immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they vaporize one guy. That causes a panic, and then they just kind of swarm in, steal all the women, and leave.
You think these guys were cops on their home planet?
It seems that.
They did a very efficient job of separating the guys from the girls and having like the guys stand up against the wall. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And as they're headed back, they also happen to bump into Karen on the scooter, so they go ahead and grab her as well. Mm-hmm. And they drag them all into the space pod, where we get the princess and Dr. Nadir watching the purification process that the women have to go through.
Yeah, which is
I don't
just
know.
like draping a gauzy like fabric over them.
Yeah,
Like a
and
curtain?
then yeah, it seems like it. And then they like roll. They're on like a slab that kind of rolls into a machine and then comes back out.
But I swear to you, they do the same. Like they have all of the girls that we've seen previously. But I swear to you, there's one blonde. They just keep loading into this thing, like 3 or 4 times.
And it seems like, is there one girl that like dies, that like the purification thing kills her?
Yeah. So Nadir is actually like, he gives this weird hand signal, like he's wringing a washcloth, and I guess that's a signal of she's not compatible. Kill her, and he does it
okay.
twice.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. And they, as they're like, inspecting the girls or whatever, they find that Karen has a little remote control on her that seems too advanced for this civilization.
Right. Nadir is excited.
So they try to question her about it, and she's tough. She's not going to say anything.
Oh yeah, we'll put her in the cage next to Maul.
Yeah. So they don't just feed her directly to him like they did with the other guy, but like Mull is like reaching through the bars at her, just like inches away, just terrifying her.
Like if this was real life, though, he would have definitely just clawed her to death because he's clearly touching her.
Yeah. And I think it's like she screams a bunch, and I think at some point she just like ends up fainting just from like pure terror or something.
Yeah.
And then I think the next thing we see
like
is
this is real life. That's a ridiculous thing that I just said.
yeah, if this lady NASA scientist was for real kidnapped and put in a spaceship with a monster.
Absolutely. The monster would have clearly killed her. Gosh. Why am I like this? Just try to add reality to fucking 60s popcorn flicks. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But yep, it's time that we mobilize the army. General Bowers. It's a code 24, so don't fuck around. By the way, Bowers is just chilling, smoking a cigarette, reading a magazine in his tidy whities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's like there's enough radiation, missing civilians, things are out of hand. It sounds like they're just gonna like nuke San Juan, basically.
Right.
Like they're
how dare
they're
you?
not playing around.
You motherfuckers.
Yeah, but then if we go back to Adam and Frank, and he's like, I don't know where Karen is, but we should get out of here. Mm-hmm. So they they like get out of the cave, and Adam, like as they're wondering, they find the space pod, and Adam's like, oh, this explains everything. Something must have followed you back to Earth. There's aliens. Like he just connects all the dots way quicker. Yeah. He's like, you guard the ship, and I will. They must have taken Karen, because I think they see the scooter laying on the ground. And he's like, I'm gonna go find Bowers. So he gets on like a payphone, and it's like, I guess he's calling like some sort of like communications relay or something. So he's like talking to a guy at like a switchboard, with the idea that he will reach out to Bowers. And at first the guy's like, wait, you're saying they're aliens? That's right, what's going on?
I'm not buying it. You sound crazy.
Yeah. And Adam's like, no, I'm from the NASA project. Talk to Bowers. He knows me. And he's like, okay. They're getting ready to like mobilize all these troops and everything. But if you say so, I'll let him know. So as soon as he tells them, like, it goes like the opposite of what Adam wanted. Like, they're like, all right, scramble the jets. We're gonna just fucking destroy this spaceship. So they're doing all that.
To some like soldier preparation footage from Vietnam. So it had to be.
Yeah, definitely B-roll again. Like this is all archival footage, and that we see the aliens have like gone out to do another batch. Collect more women, and they see Frank, hiding in the shrubs, and they attack him and drag him into the pod, and like I think they like just handcuff him to something. Like he's not in a cell the way that Mull and Karen are.
Right. Well, no, they lay him down on the slab.
Oh,
But
okay,
they
gotcha.
handcuff him to the slab. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so he, as they're doing this, Karen wakes up from having fainted, and she sees, Adam laying there unconscious, or not Adam, Frank. They picked
This is the first time
two.
she actually looks happy in the entire movie, by the way.
Yeah, she's like really glad that he's okay, and she's like calling to him, trying to wake him up. And meanwhile, we see outside, those jets have started flying overhead, and they're just dropping missiles on the pod, and it's somehow having no effect. This pod is just super armored. But Nadir is smart enough to know, like, these people do have nuclear capabilities, and, these little, missiles are nothing, but if they start hitting us with nukes, that will, ruin our plans. This will, kill the last of our species.
Right, so let's get ready to just jet off just in case something goes sideways, right?
Yeah, exactly. But at that point, Frank has woken up, and he starts, like Karen tells him what's going on or whatever, and he starts breaking open different cages and like freeing all of the captured women.
He beats up a space elf and steals his gun.
Yeah. And for some reason, he saves Karen for last. He lets everybody else out. Yeah. But as he breaks Karen out, Mull also breaks loose. Mm-hmm. So now Karen's rushing out, and we finally have Frankenstein meeting the space monster with like a few minutes left in the movie.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, it's not even like, I'm sure it looked great to the people watching it, but basically we get the fight is just a bunch of smoke with them standing inside and just hitting each other like wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
They're both hitting each other in the side of the face.
Yeah. There's even a lot of footage where it'll just be like a close-up of either Frank or the monster just kind of like fighting at the camera, like where they're not even having to choreograph anything.
Honestly, Mull made for a great music video, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And so by the end of the fight, the ship is starting to take off. And Frank rushes into the cockpit with the gun he stole from the space elf. Yeah, just wildly, just firing into the equipment, shooting the people, and the ship blows up. Like, he's hit, I guess, some sort of, engine type part, something that is particularly explosive. And so we see Karen on the ground looking up at the ship as it explodes, and she's crying because Frank died in the process or whatever.
Adam comforts her, and that's it. Immediate, abrupt ending.
Yeah, Adam kind of like pats her on the shoulder, and then we get, I think it is the exact same footage from earlier. We just see Adam and Karen on the Vespa riding around San Juan again as the credits play. So I think it's supposed to be that they are now heading away. Like it's the same footage, but I think it's supposed to indicate something new. That Adam is taking her away from this, all the terrible stuff that happened or whatever. But
maybe he stops doing science and becomes a good husband, like in the 60s tell everyone to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So and that. So that's that whole movie. There's there's not a lot for this one. It is, like you said, it's a popcorn flick. This is a drive-in movie made for
Double
teens
feature,
to watch,
sure.
and yeah.
I don't know what would pair with it. I mean, there's several things, right?
Yeah. This was probably around the same time as I Was a Teenage Frankenstein and Werewolf and all those. Like, this is just, but I guess, yeah, it's like it does feel like, I guess that is the one fun thing about this is we had monster movies and we had space movies, but space and monster mixing together this way is a little less common. Not that we don't get plenty of aliens that are just monsters. I feel
like the 60s is kind of where that really starts, though. Like, our interest and concern about space really begins in earnest in the 60s. Mm-hmm. Once again, probably because of Kennedy and, we're going to put a man on the moon.
Yeah. Definitely, like, that, this is... There's a lot of stuff about nuclear stuff in this movie as well. Like, this is when we're scared of, that Russia's got nukes. There's a lot of, like, the whole thing with all the nuclear movies of, like, the giant ants and all that, came around this time as well. But Yeah, this is definitely a movie made during a time when we're like excited about space, but scared about what technology can do and what we're going to do to ourselves by advancing too quickly. And so, yeah,
well, I forget where I first heard it. It probably was a movie, and probably a very famous movie that I'm going to be quoting. But if you look back and see like how America interprets nuclear energy versus the rest of the world, like Japan, nuclear energy is a monster, right? Godzilla. But with America, nuclear energy is a power up, right? It's a booster. Like it could give you superpowers, or it, solves all of our problems, or causes half of our problems,
Yeah. So like there are movies, horror movies, monster movies that like Godzilla, that's something where it's like we're taking something that is a concern of the people, and we're gonna like think about it, and we're gonna kind of like spend time intellectualizing in a metaphorical way this fear that we're all experiencing. And then there's also just like exploitation movies where it's like, we know people are scared of this, so let's like make a scary movie of it and people will watch it. And like this movie's not here to make you think about the implications of nuclear war, or it's just like, we know you're scared of it, so let's watch it. And you can make out with your girlfriend in the the back of your car while you're watching it.
There's a couple jump scares that are going to get your girlfriend to jump up on you and hold you, and you're probably going to get lucky. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still interesting. Like I think both are valid. Like having thoughtful discussion about things that scare us is good. But this is also sort of a time capsule of like just seeing the way that we are responding to the terrors that exist in the real world, how we're fictionalizing them for our own entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like this podcast, right? You got one who's like concerned with deeper thoughts, and the other one who's just like, boobies, explosions. I'm not gonna say which one's which. You'll figure that out.
But yeah, it's a fun one. Like this one, this is a great movie to just like watch with some friends. Like it's a silly, lighthearted 100%. Movie. It's a good time.
You could put this on during a Halloween party for sure.
Absolutely. There's not a lot to it. It's just a fun movie. There's not too much to dig into.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Anthony, we're kind of in this little bit of a kick, looking at some older movies, but let's look for something a little bit newer, just a couple years old, but post-pandemic slightly. Let's look at The Abomination of Frankenstein next week.
Yeah, I thought this would be kind of a fun sort of companion to Frankenstein Meets the Space Monster, because I have not seen Abomination of Frankenstein. Like you said, it's very new, but it feels like a similar spirit of like a very low budget thing that people are doing to kind of like, make a fun genre movie with not a lot of money. So, I don't think it's space agey, but it's nice that like in the 60s and today, people are still,
exploitation away.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to check this one out. We'll see what it turns out to be like.
Absolutely. All right, Anthony. Where can they find us?
Yeah, you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube, and you can find us at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we've still got the 1 week free trials. We'd love to have you over there. You can check some stuff out, see if it's a good fit for you. It's as we always say, it's a little bit more free form over there. It's a little less, we have less of a formula. So there's a lot of fun, different kind of things over there if you're into that.
Off the cuff, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else to say, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.